Well, in the words of the late, great Val Kilmer in the form of Doc Holliday,
Okay.
say when.
Y'all can't see me, but I'm twirling my cup right now.
Yeah. Like you just rolled over
I think
in your
those are
grave.
two different scenes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a big Justin Bieber fan. I know you well enough to
Oh,
know
man. I can't get my mind off of him.
Give me your 3 favorite songs.
Whoa.
I knew it.
Whoa.
I knew you wouldn't disappoint. And there's people thinking he don't like Justin Bieber,
No,
but this guy is a music guy, this Matt Paris. He knows music.
There's some nostalgia with that. I don't even know what that song really says, but when I think Justin Bieber, that you just saw organically,
I did.
Automatically plays in my mind.
Two more.
Ooh.
2 more minimum. You can sing, or you can just say, "Yeah,
you
this
may
song."
well you may have to guide me there because I don't know if I know another Justin Bieber song. If it's one of those things when you say one, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember. Okay.
Did you watch Karate Kid with your son growing up? That's right. You're gonna say which one? So which one?
The young Will Smith. What's his name?
Yeah, Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith. Of course, I did.
You saw the Jackie Chan one with him. So
yeah.
Did you ever go Mr. Miyagi old school with him?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
So you watched both.
Yeah.
So which one has a Justin Bieber song?
Oh, it's got to be just based on when it came out, it has to be the Jackie Chan.
Of course it is. Okay, It's obvious. What's the theme song of that one? It's a Bieber song. Do you know this one?
I'm going to know it as soon as you say it.
I'm going to sing it.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
I was so excited for like a second.
You don't remember the Never Say Never song? As soon as the movie's over, you have this great feeling. You want to go kick somebody. You're going to win the championship. And old Bieber singing Never Say Never. Yeah, I know that song, do you?
It's trying to ring a bell, but it's just muted.
I don't think it topped the charts. Maybe it did. I don't know. It wasn't top of my playlist, except the boys love that song because they love that movie for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
I will give as many examples as I need to for you to gain some momentum.
Okay.
But there is this phrase that Bieber stole to make that song reality. Never say never. You love that tone of voice when someone tells us that, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever said never? And then, how about that?
Welcome to Downright Mindful. Stories that stick, questions that matter, and conversations that make you think. Let's get right down to it.
You need me to start this so you have some think time? Or right off the bat, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's if I find something, it's going to come in the way of like probably teenage Matt said, I'll never do this when I'm a dad or a parent or what. And then
we're looking for the real deal. You said that it's on the manuscript. It's on that's not the word I'm looking for. It's on the, what's the thing in the court? We're going to look at the words are there.
The transcript.
There you go. Not the manuscript. That would be on your life transcript in eternity. We can go turn to that page and you said, I'll never. Can you find any of that?
No, I don't.
I'll start. Yeah, I told you I'm ready.
Yeah, go.
But you got to volley something back.
I'm going to need help.
Yeah, I got
because some people call it indecisive. Some people call it whatever. But, man, it's been a long time since I just drew hard lines around something. But so get me started, mate. I'll try my best.
Oh, yeah, I'm reaching back, man, decades.
Yeah.
Watch what happens. And then, you find something.
Okay.
Because and there's another lane we're going to travel connected to it. But let's start with, it is a hard line. When you say never, I mean, that's a huge word.
Never.
I looked my sister in the eye year after year after year after year, literally 4 years. She's 4 years older than me. She went to Lee. She would come home and say, oh, you got to come to school here. You got to come to Lee. You got to come to Cleveland. And year after year after year after year, I'd say, I will never go to Lee. Never. And if anybody has watched or listened to any of this, I mean, like, gosh, I mean, that Lee changed my life forever.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, it went from never to, yep. So that's one.
Yeah.
Did I just spike it and scored a point and now I get to serve again? Or you got something? I'll buy as much time as you need because I want to hear your voice more than anything. But I am prepared because this is part of, gosh, how much of my life, my young life was shaped by a never. And I now navigate my world, my learning world in the, man, if I hear someone who I'm open to, I'm listening to, I'm trying to learn from, and they go with an always or a never, man, there's an antenna that goes up that goes, gosh, how much of life really is always or never? I can navigate some most of the time and some of the time. I get that. But you say always and never, I mean, I almost shut down sometimes. But I know my younger self oftentimes would be like, I'll never. You need me to give you another one?
You're probably going to have to give me I mean, it's not even.
I have promised Scout's honor. I was never a scout. Just I had a little bandana my uncle gave me. I acted like I was. True story. There's pictures of
stolen
me.
valor.
There.
Stolen,
it is.
stolen valor.
I've watched those YouTube videos.
I can't believe it. Folks, you heard it here first.
Cub Scouts. It wasn't even Boy Scouts. It was Cub Scouts.
Oh, does that count?
No, it doesn't at all.
Okay.
I was like 4. Okay. But there's pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
Buddy, I get to Lee. And I'm like, I'll never get married while I'm still in college. Gosh, so adamant. Even before I have a girlfriend, even when I have a girlfriend. And then I got engaged with just enough of that window still open to, yeah, buddy, I got married while still in college. I had a whole year left. Sarah had a semester left. We lived in married housing, Carroll Courts. I came to Lee to play ball, and there was a fella who had just gotten married, and I remember me and my roommate, man, we were like, never. We'll never get married while we're still here. And live in Carroll Court? Are you kidding me?
You did it.
I did, man. Never turned into something. Right across the way from Chris and Shannon Doan. You know those names?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Kevin and Stephanie England right upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. These are my people. We all got married while still in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. How crazy is that? Never.
It's pretty cool.
Silly. But I did.
Never.
What you got?
I'm just drawing blanks.
Okay.
Hey, keep going.
I'm ready.
Keep going. I love hearing the story.
I know you do. I knew you'd love this part. And I told myself I would do it early or I would do it late. But you got to join the party at some point. Or you go into some place where you go, yeah, I never got to that place because I was either too open to life or too closed to even, wherever you end up going, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I'll give you another one. Matt, I literally said, okay, I'll never live in Cleveland. I'll never stay here.
Yeah.
Never. Now, this one has a twist. You ready? So, and we're getting into the other lane, but then we'll come back. So there is this other thought, and you're more than welcome to snatch it if you want to. How about I never thought? Now, that's totally different.
That's easy.
Okay, then we'll go there.
Yeah.
Let me finish this one since it's a combo, and then I'll volley that back to you. I never thought. I remember my dad sitting me down. I was in 8th grade. And it was the first time we'd ever lived somewhere, and I went to the same school for 4 years in a row.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we were always moving up to that time. 3 kindergartens, 3 first grades, 2 second grades, 2 third grades, 1 fourth grade. Was there for a year and a half, and then, man, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, Barry Junior High, man. It was awesome. And then he was like, hey, we're moving to, of all places, South Carolina. Remember, I'm born and raised in Ohio. Like, that is a foreign land. Like, the way we're taught the Civil War was different than the way you were taught the Civil War. I was going down to this place where, like, the South will rise again. Are you kidding me? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So I had this, I thought, man, I'll never like living in South Carolina. Let me take you back to, I'll never live in Cleveland. Because my plan was, I was going to go back to South Carolina. Fell in love with that place. I never thought I would, but I did. And, maybe College of Charleston, a little graduate school, maybe a graduate assistant with John Kress. Like I had plans, I had a vision, I had some ambitions. And, buddy, I've lived in this town since the fall of 95. I went home for one summer. But the rest of those summers I stayed here and then I got married and lived here. And like, this is home, man. That's why I've raised my babies. I love it. But never am I going to live in this town because this is like my college town, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah.
All right. So you never thought, fill in that blank.
It's easy. I've got this story, and you know the story, and I'm not going to tell every detail of it just yet. That time will come, but I was I'll tell the short version. Going into school, early school, really talented kid, academically, brain wise. I just always seemed to be ahead of other kids. I get into my teenage years and I get into a little bit of rebellion, a little anger, a little this, a little that. And I just give up at some point in junior high school. And I'm not a good student at all. I'm that kid who's going to sleep in your class every day. And there's nothing you can hit me with a stick and it's not going to. So I had a very non-traditional path through like high school.
They're still paddling back then?
Yeah. I got my tail busted by several people that you would know their names. Yeah.
You could name those names. Come on.
Yeah. Ginger Miller, one of my favorite people on the planet.
Yes. She's on my list.
She loved me enough to lay the wood to my hind end a couple times.
I see that, every bit of that.
With no malice or ill will. There was no, right. It was with she probably patted me on the back on my way out.
Probably.
I've said before, Bill Winters got me a couple times.
Yeah.
Paul Ramsey changed my life with a piece of wood. He finally, I think he got sick of witnessing other people paddle me and he just said, let me see that thing. And he set me on fire.
Can you tell one of those stories? Of why? How? When?
Well, they're pretty boring.
Just give it to me anyway.
Because, if you picked me up and dropped me in 2025 and now I'm a junior high school student, I'd have been fine. Because most of those paddlings came from a demerit system that had been installed at Bradley Junior High School. Mm-hmm. And we had to carry an agenda, which is it's a notebook.
It was still there when I was at Ocoee Middle School those first few years.
Yeah. Well, this was inaugural year. We go from not having an agenda to now we've got to carry an agenda and we got to do certain things with it, or you get a demerit. There's a demerit system and you get to like 3 demerits and you get like an office referral. You know what I mean?
I do.
So it was as simple as, I don't have a pencil, quarter demerit. There you go. And that, when I went back to that same school as the SRO years later, there's a pencil machine in the hallway. I was like, that thing would have saved my life right there. Or maybe I didn't write in my agenda. I didn't have my agenda. Or a teacher saw me look to a neighbor and say, hey, can I get a piece of paper? Quarter demerit. There you go. So next thing,
buddy, you would have loved me.
Yeah,
I have a stack of paper right by the door. I have a cup of pencils. Do not ask me. Just get one.
No, I didn't have you though.
I know you didn't. I didn't have me. I'm with you.
I had a team of teachers and here's you a paddling story, and it's not one paddling story, but Larry Osborne was on my team of teachers. And I excelled in Larry's class, did great.
Math.
We had great banter back and forth. He would he's a magician with numbers, and he would start doubling numbers, and it was intriguing to me. So I'd wake up from my sleep and he's doubling numbers and he's going around the room. Can you double it? Can you double it? And I could keep right up. This is easy for me. I can double numbers all day back then. My brain was real sharp when it came to simple
Not
stuff
anymore.
like that.
We couldn't. 1.
I could get pretty high, but
2.
I'm
4,
in a fog, to where
8.
I had
16.
We doing this?
You're not joining me, man. 32, 64. What are you joining?
I'm waiting on it to get difficult. Yeah.
64.
Yeah. 128.
Okay.
Yeah. 256.
Yeah.
Yeah. 512.
Yeah.
1024. 2048. 4096. We can just.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's fun. So Larry's doing stuff like that, and
Yeah.
he and I get along great. And still to this day, when we see each other, we're dapping each other up.
Love it.
And hey, how's it going? But he was the only male on my teacher cluster, and there was there was a center office like that. All the classrooms were attached to, and oftentimes when one of the other teachers would get me to a place of like, there's this many demerits, he needs a pop or whatever, they would go get Larry Osborne, and they would go back to their class, and he would be the guy that he was super nice to me. He never once tried to set me on fire, but he popped me a few times over that kind of stuff. But one came from an office referral to do with demerits, and we were going on a field trip, and I'm in this is upper junior high. We're probably freshmen at the time. Ninth graders were at that school, and it's like the whole ninth grade. There's just buses and buses and buses, but we're in a line and we're going out, and I'm owed a paddling, and I know it, and it's a Bill Winters paddling, which I had before, and I can deal with that. He's not trying to hurt me. But as we pass by the office door, just this big line of freshmen, the door opens and a hand reach out and kind of grabs me by the shoulder and pulls me in. And it's the principal, Paul Ramsey. And he says, "Hey, step in here real quick before you leave. We're going to go ahead and settle this and whatever." And he put a whooping on me.
Did you say something like, "I'm your Huckleberry"? You didn't pull that line
absolutely
up?
not. No, because he was a principal's principal. He put a whooping on me that I felt all the way to that field trip. And listen, here's the funny part about this.
He did that before the field trip?
The buses waited. So he paddles me.
Does anybody or everybody know where you're at?
Oh, listen. Yes, everybody knows where I'm at. And I didn't really put that together until I'm now walking out of the front of Bradley Junior High School. And there's that big pad of concrete walking up to
that used to be the pit.
Yeah.
Bus duty. Oh, my word.
As I come out through there's a bunch of freshman boys hanging out the windows, just hollering, laughing at me. And they're like, "Got that butt whooped,"
This is like Dire of a Wimpy Kid stuff,
They knew what was going on. But my hind end was on fire the entire walk out through there. So much I probably couldn't hide it. But, yeah, so with that being said, I would have never thought, and there's two parts to this. I would have never thought I'd be teaching in a high school today. It's not even a thought.
Do you think you ever said the words, "I'll never teach high school"? "I'll never be a teacher"?
I wouldn't put it past me.
Okay, but no recollection whatsoever.
I don't think it would have even came up in conversation. I don't think anybody ever said, "Hey, you ever thought about teaching?" I don't think anybody ever said that.
Okay, love it.
And even further, I spent 14 years at the sheriff's office and loved my trade. I loved my craft, still love it. Even then, when I had all the respect for teachers, I would have never thought that I would do that. And just something happened over time, and that kind of became like, man, I kind of might want to do that one day. And, fast forward, and here we are.
Being an SRO, do you think that was the first glimpse?
Absolutely.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. I'm in those hallways during class change and bumping knuckles with kids and telling stories, and they have questions, and then the bell would ring and they'd go to class. And after a while, I'm a guy that needs a fire to put out. And after, I don't know if lonely is the right word, but it got to where, man, I wish I could just walk in class with those kids and finish this conversation. And, I'd say that's a major part of showing me that, because before then it wasn't even a thought.
Yeah. But that's quite, you call it that glimpse. You call it a bug or a seed. It didn't germinate yet. You went to go be a detective first, right?
Yeah, I got promoted from...
that's a big old, hey, man, I could see and you went this and then you came back to teaching. Yeah, that's an interesting part of the story.
And I'll tell you, just specifically, I used to say that if I can't do law enforcement in my hometown, I don't want to do it. And I still think that's probably true.
Tell me more.
Um,
Why? I mean,
just I guess the vision that I cast when I got interested in it was patrolling the back roads of my hometown. I never was that kid. Every kid I grew up with wanted to get out of Cleveland, and I never understood. I'm like, why? What do you want to do? I had no interest in going to the big city. Never once has that seemed appealing to me at all. Now, it's not like I have a whole lot of experience in a big city to have something to contrast, but I just love my home. I love this place. And I don't, I'm bumping into some Chattanooga cadets right now in a Bible study that we're in. And I love talking to them. And to them, I'm like an old wizard. This guy used to be a detective in Bradley County. Now he teaches in it. And that's cool. But I have no interest in policing Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's a totally different. You go down to Atlanta and be the police, and that's a totally different ball game than what I'm used to.
Imagine.
Yeah. But the reason I was saying that is because when I decided that maybe I want to teach one day, I put my sights on the criminal justice class at Walker Valley High School specifically. And I don't know, I'm not going to say never, because there's that whole retirement thing. I may go to Georgia one day, you never know. But I don't know that I want to do it if I'm not doing it at Walker Valley.
Yeah.
I may want to go back and patrol the streets of my hometown, So that being said, when I'm the SRO there and I start getting that interest, that job is not coming open for a long time. That's what it looks like. That job is going to be a while. And maybe that's a twilight tour for the end of my career. There's a lot to do. There's a lot I haven't done and I want to do. And so when it came to my knowledge that I was an attractive candidate in the criminal investigations search, I was like, heck yeah, man, this is part of the path. It either is or it isn't. And so I put in for it and got it. And I'm glad I did, man. When I miss being a sheriff's deputy, I think that's what I miss. Narcotics investigations and even property investigations. Now, there's a little part of me that remembers those like summer mornings coming in on a Tuesday and patrolling the county neighborhoods at 10 a.m. when most people are at work. You'll catch a few here and there mowing their yard. There was a neighborhood that I used to frequent, and because there was some burglaries in the area, so I got to where I was like, all right, I'm just going to be really visible. And I started going to this cul-de-sac for lunch every day. I would go to a cul-de-sac. I would back up in this spot, and I would just pull out my ham sandwich or whatever and spend 30 minutes there, just being visible, because that's when burglaries are bad, those 10, 11 o'clock in the morning kind of things. And
so those stereotypes we have of like middle of the night, someone breaks in, I mean, that's got to be a thing.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
But are you telling me that, is it the majority? Is it most of the time? Is it half the time? It's that sweet spot of like mid-morning?
Yeah, they're waiting on you and your family to go to work and school, and then they're going to break it. They don't want to break in while you're there. At least here, it's very rare that a person invades your home with you in it. It's rare. It's not never, but it's very rare. If they do it, it's probably on accident, or that's bad people. Those kind of people that do that are the reasons we build prisons. Those people need to be put away. Most of the people that are burglarizing homes in Bradley County are drug addicts, and they don't have time to go get a 9-to-5, and they don't have the stability in their life to do that. So they got to find some quick money. So they're coming for your leaf blower or your weed eater or whatever, and they're going to try to make it to the pawn shop before you even get home from work and realize it's missing. But sitting in that cul-de-sac eating lunch, there's a lady jogging the neighborhood, and she comes up and says, "Hey, is everything okay?" oh, yeah, it's just fine. This has happened in the last week or two, and I just wanted to be intentional about and next thing I know, over the next 3 days at my lunch, I've got like a little lunch club out there but that's the stuff,
Yeah.
man.
No, I get it.
Now
I
that
hear you.
whole neighborhood,
And I get you. That makes sense.
that whole neighborhood has a contact with the sheriff's office. They have a relationship. You don't think that guy that's elected, that's my boss, isn't happy with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
do you not think that if you're a drug addict and you're going to roll up to burglarize this neighborhood, you roll up to that, like you may decide that I'm going to go to the next neighborhood, It's just being visible. Part of being a good deputy in a county, in a rural area, it's just being visible.
Yeah.
Just being visible, man.
Well, we can bring that back to the classroom. Like if you sit on a stool the whole entire time, if you sit in a chair the whole entire time, the greatest classroom management is number one, no names. So you don't just throw out, hey, y'all stop. Hey, you. No. The second one is, go to that area. You want that kid to stop doing that thing, Sarah. And she reminded me.
Yeah.
Because I had brought up something. Yeah, it's hey, go get into their spot. Go get into their space. Don't say one word. You don't even have to look at them.
Yeah.
Just be in there and they'll stop. And then circle back around at some point and just let them know that you are in their presence. And humans, man, I mean, like it's crazy how we will just like kind of snap to attention. But you need to be in that space. And like, that's what I'm hearing you say. You're in that space. Yeah. People are going to think twice about how they behave.
Yeah, for sure.
So you wouldn't want to go to some other, even small town Tennessee, small town Mississippi, small town Iowa. No ambitions, no thoughts of ever leaving town?
Not really. I never have thought that I would. Now, the older I get, the more it's like, I don't know, what's holding me to this town? And I think the older I get, the more and more it becomes like my grandparents.
Yeah, for sure. You're going to say family.
My grandparents are holding me here. Not that I have any plans to, if my grandparents ever pass away, I'm leaving. Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But, we have, this may never come to fruition, and it's not even a dream of mine, but man, we rode through Sweetwater a few months ago, and I was like, I could absolutely see myself drifting up this way.
Sure.
Because it's just sort of the pace of life that is attractive to me. I'm not looking at real estate in Sweetwater by any means. Don't get me wrong. Kyler's still, now that's another game changer. And I talked about that with Will Campbell today, who also, this is something I wanted to talk to you about off air, but it fits right in. Will Campbell's coming on this podcast if I have to drag him here. So
Did he hesitate? Did he?
No, I didn't even ask him. We just had a conversation today, man.
We could talk all day.
And he just reminded me who he is. And he is a dude who thinks deep thoughts. And, I told him, I was like, this sounds like a conversation on our podcast. And he was like, that's a great conversation, man. I love it. But we were talking about hope, like what your hope is built on. What is it that you get up in the morning? It's sort of your go juice, it's what makes you get up, clean off, go to work. What is that? And, Kyle, it's come to my attention at times that Kyler is probably way more of that than is healthy, and I think any parent would say that about their kid. So I think if Kyler drifted off somewhere to do something and was like, hey, you and mom ever thought about coming over this way? We'd be on a bus in a heartbeat,
You ain't taking the bus.
No, we're not taking the bus.
You
but
call.
I'm not going to say I'd never take the bus, but
Okay. Thanks for the thing. Yeah. Way to hit it. Yeah. So, are you seeing it? Like, there were two lanes that came to my mind of to truly draw a line in the sand and say never. Man, I did that a bunch as a young fella. That other of, it's more, I think, reflective when you've got some space from some significant events where you go, man, I never would have thought. And it's more of a reminisce. It's more of a, man, like that was either good or bad or both, as life is. But it is interesting for me because, like, I'll give you another one. I will never teach middle school. It took me forever to be on the teacher track because, like, and I was still working on my master's in teaching and still thinking, you know what, I might be a minister. I might end up in a church. I could see myself as a youth minister. I could see myself, behind a pulpit, and I'm still just kind of working that. Sarah and I were at Westwood, and John Waters took the youth group up to Gatlinburg, and we were sitting, and I remember it was Scott Dawson and then Dave Nasser, and man, I'm just sending up prayers of going, Lord, I'm still unsure, and this doesn't make any sense because I'm almost done with my teaching program. And, the whisper of my heart was like, because I said, I could do what these guys do. I could hop from town to town to town and share something significant and relevant, and the whisper of my heart was just like, well, who takes care of these kids when these evangelists leave town? I was like, youth ministers. Yeah, I mean, I could see myself as a youth minister. And the whisper of my heart was like, okay, but how often do they actually get to see kids, be with them? I mean, a Wednesday, a Sunday, and then maybe some sprinkle, maybe a youth camp, maybe a disciple now, all these things we've ever volunteered for, Sarah and I. And then the last whisper was like, who by the state or who by the law of your land has to be somewhere 5 days a week. And you show up and then you figure out how to stick and stay and be something for them. And it was just like, dang, teachers. And there was just something about that experience that went, okay, I could, but man, I will. And I stayed kind of on that track. And, but I mean, even when I landed there, you get certified 7 through 12 for me as a U.S. world history teacher. I'll never teach middle school. And I was almost at Northwest Whitfield, man. That was almost my first job.
Yeah.
And that fell through, didn't work out. And it wasn't until Bill Winters 10 days before school started said, hey, I got a position for you. And, by the time it's 10 days before school starts, what else am I going to do once the school year starts? Am I going to go to like M&M and work on the line? I mean, sure, I could see myself doing it, but that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach. And so I landed in a middle school position. Now, I may have told you this story before, but hey, day one lunch, I called Sarah and was like, I can't do this. I made a mistake. I'm not built for this. There's not a chance in the world I can survive. And she was like, just go back. You'll be fine. Because she's got some time. She's got a year in teaching at Arnold, which 5th and 6th grade math back at that tough place to teach 5th and 6th grade math. She's like, you can do this. Well, day 2, lunch. Sarah, no, nothing has changed from day 1. I can't do that. I remember saying that. And then, by the time you took that job, I'm in my sweet spot there. And now I'm like presenting at, conferences and saying things like, the strongest teachers need to be in the middle school because it's such an awkward age. And no adult ever wants to return back to this age. And that's why it's so important to have good educators that want to be in the middle school. Nothing on my radar to say, hey, let's go to high school. It was, man, yes, I said never, but here I am again. There's some of my writing somewhere hidden in a box, pushed in the shadows that talked about just like, gosh, man, how many times in this window of my life, because everything I've mentioned so far, it's right here in this small window where I just kept, for whatever reason, saying never. And then seemingly every time I said never, it was like, here I am. And it ended up being a place that just seemed so right, so good, so me, at least in that version of me at that time. And so I was I was reflecting back on something, and I was like, I gotta bring this to Matt. But there is a second lane, and it's and I never thought I would.
Question.
Yep.
I said a minute ago, when I cast a vision, when I started seeing, man, I kind of would have liked to be a sheriff's deputy here in Bradley County. When did you cast that vision of being a teacher, and what did it look like? If you thought you'd never see yourself in a middle school, what those image. I don't know if people think this way or not, but when I'm looking at something that I think I might want to do, I start seeing what that looks like and what it. Oftentimes, I'm very wrong about what that is. What does that look like? Are you teaching like history in a high school classroom, or what? Tell me what that. If you're, I'm never teaching in middle school. What?
Well, because I wanted to teach. I mean, history. Like, so I had this Lee experience. Like, I never had an interesting social studies teacher in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stop me if I told you this one before. I'm about to get married. I go back to South Carolina. I see some of my buddies. I go back to my old high school and I'm walking the hallways and yeah, Mr. Franklin's there, chemistry teacher. Can't stand science. I used to cheat in biology for crying out loud. Sorry, Mr. Kane. But Mr. Franklin always had his door open the next year in chemistry. And so instead of cheating, I went and got help, you know?
Yeah.
But he was just this dude. Gosh, he loved Jesus. He loved us. But like, man, his standard for, man, getting stuff done in honors chemistry was legit. He was a baller back in the day. He'd come watch me play, you know, and I had no real role models until we moved to North Carolina, and it was Miss Ringo in a sociology class. But what I envisioned, to answer your question, was I wanted to teach history after having Bob Barnett at Lee. Like, he was just this, I mean, yes, storytelling, but his voice is just, there's the rhythmic, melodic. I mean, and he has these pauses where he gives you more. And then like I mean, he knows that if he just has you waiting on the next thing that he gives you. And I wanted to be that dude.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be able to learn and then share. So I remember, and I'm still not hired. It's the middle of the summer. Don't really have any prospects. Northwest Whitfield has fallen through. And like, I drove out to Red Clay State Park and I'm walking out there. I had never been there. Knew it was there. Knew it was Cherokee stuff. Knew this is a possibility. And I remember walking going, yeah, I just want to tell people about this. I remember that. I can see it in my mind right now. And I remember driving out there, which seemed like forever away. Now it's like, nah, I mean, I've been there 1,000 times, right?
Yeah.
Taking Dalton Bike to Georgia 1,000 times, going golfing, whatever. But I remember those were even my prayers. Like, I just want to tell people these stories. And I think that was the first, like, it's more than just lecturing. It's capturing the story. It's understanding the elements of the story, breaking the elements down, making sense of things, creating context. So, I mean, that's what it looked like. And so, like, I never had a middle school teacher that was fascinating, that connected in such a way with the social studies experience. I had an old school dude that used to literally stand on his soapbox and he would give us a speech. He'd hop back down and then he'd lecture. We'd take notes, we'd take a test, and we'd do it all over again. I thought the soapbox idea was cool, but he was so stern. Like, he wasn't a teaching hero of mine.
So was the box just to give you like a social cue?
He just liked to tell the younger generation how it should be.
Yeah.
And so he explained the soapbox idea. Now it's a metaphor. He literally had a soapbox, Mr. Olson. I remember Mr. Olson.
Yeah.
I learned some stuff. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of teaching role models when it came to history until I got to college. To go back to I went to South Carolina, I went to my high school, and I saw Miss Clarkin. She was my history teacher. And I told her what I was about to graduate in and do. And she looked me up and down and went, I don't see it. Are you serious? But it fell right in line. She was a lecture worksheet person. That was the social studies experience. That's what I have said that I would not be. Not her. I didn't take it personally. But like, there's plenty of other social studies, worksheet, notes, test people. Let's run the cycle again.
Yeah.
Where like I'm in my juice, it's collaborating. Oh, yeah. Hey, okay. This is an idea. Hey, this is something that we could create. I don't want you going to Hobby Lobby and buying materials. I want you to repurpose some stuff. I want you to get into your shed, into your attic, into your garage, into your closet. I want you to find something and let that be your canvas. And let's see where we can go from there. And I want you to bring it in. I did this. I'm going to give you a real number. at least 3 times a day. It may have been 5 because people were turning stuff in. But I was like, hey, love it. You did great.
Yeah.
Will you add this one thing? Well, how am I supposed to do that? Well, I mean, like, you're the artist, so it's artist choice. But I'd like for you to add this element to that before you put it on display in our class museum. Love those moments because they'll hesitate and be like, but I had one girl just take it home last week. This was one of the examples.
Yeah.
Her dad was frustrated because he had helped on the project. But then the next one that came back, it was the real deal. Like dad got into it, she got into it, and it's going to be a piece that I can teach with. Super excited about that. That's my juice. That's what I want to do. I don't want to go to school and lecture. I don't want to get up on a soapbox. I don't want to do a monologue or, I don't want to be a stand-up comedian in front of a bunch of kids. Like, I literally want to collaborate. Now, I got to give enough content for them to go, I'm interested in that. All right, let's pursue your interests and let's do that.
Sure.
And that's my juice, man.
Huh. That's good. I did something I've never done today. I have never put together, first of all, I don't even have anything in my curriculum that I built that's referred to or even close to look like a worksheet. It doesn't exist. I got to think in the last couple days, okay, I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks, and I have 2 classes that are approaching a dual credit test where if they were to pass that test, they'd have college credit, okay? So I just kind of look at my calendar and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be out of town for 3 days. I'll be at a conference for the first 3 days next week.
Yeah, a little skills next week, right?
Yeah. I'll come back. I will give an EOC on Thursday. So I'm not guaranteed time or meaningful time with really anybody because of how schedule changes happen and this and that. We're off Friday. We're off the weekend. We're off Monday. Tuesday is one of those dual credit tests.
It's the teaching life, man.
So I had to really look at, all right, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, although I'm not with them, what can I do that could be valuable to them in my absence? And through collaborating the last week or so, we've been doing all kinds of I have a marker board in my room right now that is, if you walked in there, you would think, oh my God, there's criminal justice class in high school right there. Like so many concepts, landmark cases, terms, this and that. And so, one day it's, hey, this group, you guys take this, and then 5 minutes, we're doing a quick study and you're going to show me something that's jumping off the page at you that you feel you may need to share with the room. So we're doing all kinds of stuff. Okay. But the last day that we worked with that, which was yesterday or the day before, I just said, hey, open up the notes on your phone, create a new note. And I want to draw your attention to the board that we've been working off of for a few days. And we created, I got just on the fly, we started calling it a scary list. I said, hey, look up there. What's the scariest thing on that board to you right now? And here's what I mean by scary. If I were to encounter a test question about that, I'm in trouble. I want you to put that on your list. That's number 1. I'll give you a minute to think about it. So I can see their heads down. They're punching their phones. All right, let's go. Now that that's out of the way, what's the next scariest? And we did this till I'll get them to 10. What's your top 10 scariest things? And then we spent some time, hey, whatever this means for you, because there's a diverse group of learners hearing my voice right now. Whatever this means from you, I want you to attack number 1. And I'm a resource. We use Google Scholar for landmark Supreme Court cases all the time because you can look and get a case brief right now. Whether that's a resource, whether your book is, whatever your resource is, and I'm right here. And this is moving. There may be another student across the room that you heard say something about this in the past, that let them become a resource. And right in the next 15 minutes, we are eliminating number 1. It's no longer going to be
anybody using AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm cool with that. In that scenario,
that's a great scenario. That's why I brought it up.
I'm even mentioning that. Like, hey, I've told you that there are times when AI is appropriate. This is one of those times. I mean, we're using an AI in my class right now for some reason on their school accounts, they can't use it yet unless they're 18, but they can use resources that I can build with it. It's called Notebook LM. I can attach a Google Doc to it right now and hit a go. And in 1 minute, it'll have a 2-person podcast conversation about that. And it's amazing. It's scary how good this thing. And I can even click, I forget what the button's called, but it's break in or something like that. I can click that button and those 2 people talking will be like, oh, hang on, we got somebody who has a question. I can ask it the question and they'll answer it. It's wild. Anyways, but through that activity, through those activities and those conversations, I've had several students say to me, hey, if I just had like a piece of paper with some of these things on it that we know that we're going to encounter, or maybe we haven't did in-depth studies on, I would have one place to go. And man, I still don't, I may learn the hard way on something right now, but I create for them a worksheet. I hate to even call it a packet. God, that word makes me want to vomit.
No, worksheets serve a purpose. The packets serve a purpose. I mean, yes, in my history class, I mean, I can throw it up on Schoology or I can create a packet that I leave on the tables. Like, wherever you got that thought, I get it.
These are 12 pages long.
So?
Okay. All right.
But it's not, the expectation is to finish it in 1 day or 2 days. Maybe it is for 3 days, but you're saying, good 3, 4, 5, take it home with you if there's a motivated student.
I nicknamed them the CJ1 final boss, the CJ2 final boss. Like this is pretty much everything in one place.
If they want to get a college credit, then this is the kind of work you have to do independent study.
Yeah.
And you're giving those students a gift by creating that packet, because now they can go the extra mile with a legitimate, trustworthy resource that they don't have to track down for themselves. Nah, man. But see, that's the stuff that you hang on to. And next semester now, you've created something and you'll throw it down. Now, you're doing that every week, let alone every other day.
No, I can't.
For somebody, I mean, it's every day. It's the workbook or the worksheet or the textbook every day. And you miss the actual interaction, that next element beyond the read, the write, the listen, to the, oh my word, we're bouncing ideas back and forth. This is a dialogue. Oh, what did that just turn into a debate? And you as the teacher, you've done this already, be the facilitator or even the judge, where you get to go, okay, hold on, pause, counterpoint, okay, clarifying question. And you get to see that you've told me stories of how things have bounced around your room before.
Man, the J. Edgar Hoover one the other day was one of the best we've ever had. Cool. Those kids were all scared of. Listen, I said, hey, how many of you know who J. Edgar Hoover is? Nobody raised their hand.
Yeah.
I was a little hurt.
Yeah.
Not that, J. Edgar Hoover is not one of our foundational things, but dadgummit, we need to know his body of work.
He's the foundation of the FBI.
So listen, man, just on the fly, I was like, all right, his name's on a federal building. You over here to the left, you over here to the right. You guys on the left, you're going to present arguments to take his name off this federal building. And the other room was to defend his name on the federal building. And it turned into just, I couldn't have planned it better. It was fantastic, man. Some of the most fun we've had.
And see, if you did that every day, it would serve a pretty fantastic purpose. But they may not be exposed to as much content.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, because there's only so much, because you're really in a debate, you're throwing content back and forth at each other and forming it in a different way and then throwing it back over to where, man, it's the combo. It's the combo. And anybody who is a learner listening knows that it takes every single form. And then if you want to find out what you've learned, well, then you do go perform, or you do go produce something, or you do go compete at it, or go teach somebody else if you really want to find out if you learned that or not.
Yeah.
But that content knowledge, you got to listen. Whether that's to lectures or that's to podcasts, there's just so much out there. You've got to read. We can't deny that.
Yeah.
Strengthen your reading comprehension skills. But that next level stuff, it's the combo. And that's what makes for good teachers. We know that. we're in this because somewhere along the way, and this alludes to what you said earlier, someone showed us what it could be, and then we wanted to be the thing, either like them or something like them.
Yeah.
And they truly inspired us. But somewhere along the way, they empowered us. And then we chose a path, and, here we are.
Yeah.
Talking about it right now from experience.
So I won't say that I've ever said I'll never hand out a packet, but it's been quite a while since I thought I would in that way, especially me. Because you're talking to a guy that hasn't handed a student. Man, I haven't handed out a piece of paper. A physical piece of paper in a while. Everything I deliver is online.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most of my deliverables are online. So it was just weird. Even some of my students were like, wait a minute, you have paper? I was like, yes, stop.
Well, that brings me back. And I know I've mentioned this somewhere along the way. I think it was pretty early when we started doing this, but I said I would never own a cell phone. Never.
Sure. Yeah.
Never. Shoot. I told Bob Taylor one time, the director of schools, in a meeting of aspiring leaders, sir, I don't believe, I'll never check my email every day. Will I? See how I put that on him?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you will. There will come a time where you will be checking it as soon as you come and as soon as you leave. Like now, it's like, how many times do we check our email just to make sure we're on top of stuff? It is, you can't survive in what you and I do responsibly without checking your email every single day, multiple times.
For sure not.
Yeah. Never. So those 2 lanes, man, that's where I wanted to travel today. And I'm sure there's more stories to tell along the way that will find themselves there. But it's, both are tools of reflection.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be a little slower before I say never. And then there's other times where it's just like, it's kind of a sweet reminisce of like, dang. I really never would have thought I would have, done anything besides baseball. As a little teeny tiny guy, man, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then basketball came in and just took over my life. It just did,
Yeah.
And, from coaching to playing to my boys playing to, shoot, Seth may be a coach one day. I never even touched a basketball till 7th grade, and it became this other thing. Never would have thought that,
Yeah.
So we could do this all day, most likely, but
yeah, for sure.
I at least wanted to bring this today and I knew it'd bring some stories about, and you even hinted at revealing something that you did not end up revealing.
No,
but
man.
I hope that's a thing that we will do at some point. That's a good teaser.
Yeah, we will, for sure. There's a story to tell. I'll tell it when I'm ready to tell it.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I'm trying to give away a T-shirt. You know about this?
Of course I do.
I'll tell you what, I was pretty clear on what I wanted our listeners to do to get that T-shirt, and a couple have done it. We're going to have a pretty good odds, but I wanted to give the people who listen to this conversation up to this point a leg up. So I'm gonna tell you, for those that, for those people that are sharing it on Instagram, but they haven't listened to this episode, you have an advantage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, all you got to do for me to enter you, if you've listened to this conversation, is go to Apple Podcast and just give us an honest review. I won't even say you have to give us a good review. Just give us an honest review. That'd be,
to me, that's 5 stars, baby.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Honesty.
Yeah, honesty, 5 stars. That's all. No, and I will tell you, full disclosure, it doesn't make us one dime. It doesn't help. What it does is it allows us to hear your voice about our podcast, and it helps us to make our podcast better. So do that, and we will enter you into the drawing that we're going to announce the winner next Sunday. That'll be episode 27. You're listening to episode 26 right now. Episode 27, we will announce that winner, and we'll get you that Downright Mindful T-shirt. Got anything you want to add before we close this one down, Paul?
I don't, buddy. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. It's a good conversation. Appreciate it. Man, that's Downright Mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful.
with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.